What could you, a children's book author, do with 50,000 emails of your readers? Sell your next book, launch a course, collaborate with brands, get ideas for the next book. The possibilities are endless. But how do you even get to 50,000 emails? Well, I'm going to show you step by step using a story based game app, and I promise it's easier than you think. Hi, I'm Bayo, a storyteller like you, and once upon a time, I collected over 50,000 emails for my app business without even knowing what to do with them at first. Today, I help children's book authors and illustrators like you bring your storybooks to life as simple story based game apps, and more importantly, grow your audience and income with tools that make it simple. In this video, I'll show you how to add a form to your story-based game app that collects emails, connect it to a mailing list tool, and plug it all together inside the story game app using Unity. I have broken this video into chapters, so feel free to skip ahead to what you need. Okay, what's a mailing list really? Now, think of it like a contact list that keeps track of everyone who's interested in your work. Every time someone fills out the form in your app, their name and email go into this contact list, ready for you to send updates, freebies, new books, or just say hi. There are special platforms that help you manage this. Some popular ones are MailerLite and MailChimp. For this video, we'll use MailerLite. Why? Because it's clean, simple, and gives us cool features like automatically sending a thank you gift, keeping your contacts safe and GDPR compliant, and it's free for up to 500 contacts. In fact, in one of my storybook apps, The Accent, when someone registers, they immediately receive a bonus coloring book, all done automatically with just a one-time setup. It starts a relationship, so when I release a new book, I know exactly who to share it with. Last few weeks, when I repurposed the Accent book into a read-along video, which I show you how to do in a previous video, I sent the link to all my registered contacts. That's the magic of a mailing list. Let's talk about where the magic happens, Unity. Unity is what's called a game engine, and it's free to use. Think of Unity like a magical puppet stage or storytelling theater. You have a stage, that's your game scene, characters, those are your illustrations, and then props, those are your buttons, your sounds, music, and animations. Now imagine if you had to sew the curtains, wire the lights, and build the whole stage from scratch every time you told the story. Exhausting, right? Well, Unity says, don't worry, I've got the stage built, just bring your story, your art, and your imagination. That's what a game engine does. It takes care of the backstage work so you can focus on the fun part, storytelling. Even better, Unity allows software engineers like me to develop tools called assets to simplify certain aspects. For our mailing list form, I have created a ready-made asset that hides all the scary stuff like code and logic. You just import, drag, drop, and tweak a few things. At this point, if you're feeling overwhelmed, take a breath. I know you're not a techie, you are a storyteller. That's why I created an asset that takes care of the tricky stuff. No coding needed. And guess what? You only need to set this up once. I built a similar system over 10 years ago and I have not touched it since, yet it still works today. Remember, you can ask me as many questions as you want after watching this to the end and giving it a try. Okay? Good. As mentioned earlier, we'll use MailerLite for storing and managing our email contact list. In other words, when a user registers in our game app, their details will be sent to MailerLite. From there, we can decide to send them a one-off gift or regular updates via newsletters. Remember, MailerLite is one of several email marketing providers that we have out there. Go ahead and sign up if you've not. It has a free plan which gives you enough features to get started. In my case, I have already signed up, so I am going to view my dashboard. You can see I'm on a free plan. Hence, I can build and manage a contact list of 500 for free. To connect MailerLite to our story-based game app, we need an API key. An API key is the secret password created by one application, MailerLite in this case, that lets another application, our game app, connect safely to it. Think of it like a secret password that your app uses to knock on MailerLite's door. It says, hey, I'm allowed to add emails to this list. To create your API key, click on Integrations. Then under the MailerLite API section, click the Use button of the API option. Here's where we'll generate a new token. By the way, an API key could also be called a token, so don't be confused. Click Generate New Token. Give it a name. I'll name mine Demo API Key. Leave the default All IPs Allowed selected and tick the Terms and Conditions checkbox. Once that's done, your API key is created. You should download it as a text file or copy and paste it somewhere safe. Ensure you store it safely as it won't be shown to you again. Although, you can always repeat this process to create new API keys. That's all we need to do in MailerLite. In the next section, we'll use this API key in a story-based game app and test it's working properly. In this section, I will show you how to add a simple sign-up form that links to MailerLite. To do that, I have created a simple story-based game app menu page. If this were to be a real project, then this menu page would be where users click the enter button to get into the main story. Our registration page will have to come before this page. That way, when users open our app, they will arrive at the registration page before the menu page. In my experience, I recommend that the registration page be made optional so that users are not forced to register. Not to worry, you'll find those users who are willing to register, so it's worth adding it to your app. The registration page, which we'll create shortly, will have a sign-up form for users to register their name and email address. For that, I have created this simple Unity tool or asset called a MailerLite form asset package. Recall I mentioned that one of the beauties of the Unity game engine is that it allows developers like me to create tools that you can plug into your game app. I'll leave the link to the tool in the description so that you can learn more about it and also reuse it. You don't necessarily need to know about the logic or the code behind how the tool works. I'll show you next. So I'll stop this now and create a new scene which will be our registration page. I'll name it registration scene. Double click on it to open. It's empty, so there's nothing to see here. Next, I'll import the MailerLite form asset package I created. To do that, go to Assets, select Import Custom Package, and I'll navigate to where it's saved on my computer. Import everything that I need. Text Mesh Pro is already imported, so I don't need to import it. Otherwise, you can just click on this one to import everything. Once imported, you can view the folder where the assets and related resources are stored. Again, you do not need to know about any of the things in there to use it. For our ready-made sign-up form, go into the Prefabs folder. In Unity, a prefab is a configurable, reusable object. Think of it as a master copy that can be reused multiple times across different places. If I double-click on it, you can see what it looks like. It's just a simple form that has fields for capturing a user's name and email. It also has a skip button so users are not forced to register against their preference. From my experience, some will definitely register at some point if they enjoy your story and wish to stay updated on more stories from you. Let's go back and I can show you how it works. I'll drag this prefab into the hierarchy view so it appears in the registration scene. Next, we'll configure it. The first thing we need to do is create an empty game object and name it controller. The controller will be used for controlling our sign-up form, as you'll see shortly. In Unity, scenes contain objects which are called game objects. Everything you will create or work on will be a game object. In Unity, to add a behavior or feature to a game object, we add what's called components. For this, we'll add a script component which comes with the MailerLite form asset package. The script is the file that holds the logic, which, like I mentioned, you don't necessarily need to know about. Select the controller and you'll see its properties in the inspector view. Select Add Component and search for Signup script. With this, we can configure our sign-up form with certain behaviors like button clicks. As part of the configuration, let's drag in the matching object from our sign-up form into the placeholders exposed in the controller script component. Make sure the controller is selected and view its properties in the inspector view. Drag in the name input field. This is where our user will enter in their name. Drag in the email input field. That's where they'll enter in their email. How the details get submitted to MailerLite, you don't need to know, as it's all taken care of by the tool. The next thing is the API key input field, so drag it in there. Next, drag in the Terms and Conditions panel. This is for GDPR compliancy. This ensures you get consent from the parent whom we expect to download the app and register on behalf of their child. Lastly, drag in the alert panel. With this, we can show error or success messages while filling the sign-up form. Next, type in the name of your menu scene, which we saw earlier. Why this? Because when the user clicks on this skip button, it should take them to the menu page. We already have a menu scene, so type in its name as it is. Also, when a user registers by clicking the submit button, we'll go to the menu page. Make sure you type the name correctly because the tool will be using its value to direct the user to the appropriate page when skipped or successfully registered. Another important configuration involves the use of our MailerLite API key. Remember, the MailerLite API key that we created in the last section is necessary to send our app user contact details to MailerLite. But first, let's run the app and see what we have right now. If I click this button, nothing happens. Why is that? It is because we have not wired up our buttons. So again, I'll stop the app. The first thing I want to do is copy our MailerLite API key and paste it in here. Now that's done. Another thing that you may also want to do is customize the terms and conditions text. Click on it, go to terms and conditions text and edit it to your company or brand name. I'll use RCB, which stands for Repurpose Children's Books. You may also change the entire text to suit your purpose, but most importantly, help users know what to expect when they give you their personal contact details. The last bit is to wire up all the buttons. So for the first one, select the skip button and in the inspector view, scroll all the way down to the on-click section of the component. Here's where we configure the behavior of the button when it's clicked. Click the plus icon, drag in the controller, go to the sign up script, and there should be a skip registration method. Select that. Do a similar thing for the submit button, select it, and in the inspector, scroll to the on-click section, drag in the controller, search and select the register method. These methods are built into the attached script to handle what happens when clicked. For the terms and conditions button, select it. In the inspector view, scroll down to the on-click section, drag in the controller, search and select the terms checked method. Please, don't worry about any of this if it's unclear. There's a pattern to the process which I'll show you in subsequent videos as we delve deeper into developing story-based game apps using Unity. For this video, I simply want to show you how easy it is to add a functional sign-up form feature in your story-based game app using ready-made tools like the one I have created. So I can save all of this now and run the app again. First, let's click the skip button and it should go to the menu page. So that works. Let's stop the app and rerun it for the registration test. When I click the submit button, the alert panel comes up with a message asking me to fill both fields. So I'll type in my name, Bayo. For the email address, I'm going to copy and paste in this email address. I'll remove this bit so it's incorrect. Hit submit. It says invalid email, which is what we expect for an invalid email. I'll put this back here, hit the submit button, and the next thing it says is, please tick the terms checkbox. So we need to tick this to give consent. So I'll click on it, just show you again. Yeah, it knows that it's not ticked. So I'll click this one and hit submit again. And what do we get? Success! After a few seconds, it goes to the menu page. That's what we want. So I can stop this test right now. Now, let's go into MailerLite to confirm the contact details are in there. I'll refresh. We've got the new contact. This is the one that I just added from our story game app. This is how you get started with building your mailing list of tens, hundreds, and thousands of readers. With story-based game apps, you have more control over exciting features like the sign-up form for your audience building, engagement, and overall growth. I'll leave a link to the asset tool which you can download and reuse. All the instructions and demo project to test with are provided. Should you prefer an integration with other mailing list providers besides MailerLite, for example, MailChimp, please let me know and I can update the tool. Thank you for sticking with me to this point. Hopefully you've enjoyed the journey so far. Now picture this. A child downloads your story game app. Their parent enters an email to get a bonus. Email introducing yourself and perhaps a coloring page. Boom! Just made a new connection. And when your next book launches, you've got a list of people who already love your work. That's the magic of building an email list inside your story-based game app. So if you are ready to grow your audience, income, and impact, start collecting those emails today. Download the asset below, leave any questions in the comments, and subscribe if you'd love more no-code tutorials made just for storytellers. Remember, your story deserves more than just a place on the shelf. It deserves to be experienced. This is Bio, cheering you on as you turn your stories into something even bigger.